Well, on the morning of August 26, 2026, a wall of ice, rock and mud tore down the Trishuli and Bhotekoshi river valleys on the Nepal-China border. Within hours, entire settlements in Nepal's Resuva and Nuwakot districts were buried or swept away. As of this recording, more than 359 people are confirmed dead and over 1,300 remain missing across Nepal and Tibet, including hundreds of foreign tourists and pilgrims. Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX Deepdive. I'm Vineet Malhotra. Behind those numbers is a harder story. This is turning into one of the most difficult rescue operations Nepal has faced in years. Here's why. Well, starting with geography, this disaster didn't hit a city. It hit some of the most remote, high-altitude terrain on Earth. Resuva and Nuwakot are Himalayan foothill districts laced with narrow river gorges, steep, unstable slopes and villages that were only ever reachable by a single road or footpath. When a flood this scale rips through a valley like that, it doesn't just kill people, it erases the way in. Roads are gone, bridges are gone, some communities are now completely cut off, reachable only by air, if at all. Rescue teams are not just searching a disaster zone, they are trying to physically reach one first. Here's what makes this even more dangerous. It isn't over. Chinese state media reported the formation of a barrier like essentially a new unstable body of water created when debris dams a river channel. If that barrier breaks, it can unleash another flash flood on top of communities and rescue teams already working in the disaster zone. So crews are not just racing against time to find survivors, they are operating under the threat of a second collapse. Scientists also believe the original event was triggered by a glacial collapse when a chunk of ice broke away high in the mountains. That means the underlying instability in the region hasn't gone away. In fact, this is the second time this river system has or was flooded in just over a year. Beyond the roads and bridges, the flood tore through critical infrastructure. Multiple hydropower and transmission facilities were damaged, cutting electricity to the very areas rescuers need to operate in. That knocks out communication towers, water pumping systems and lighting for nighttime search efforts. When power and connectivity fail in a mountain region, coordinating between military units, local police and international responders becomes far harder. Teams can lose contact with each other for hours at a time. In terrain where a wrong turn can be fatal, this is not a local emergency. It's an international one. Hundreds of the missing are foreign nationals, tourists and pilgrims from the United States, Australia, Britain, Canada and India, many of them on the pilgrimage routes towards Mount Kailash in Tibet, a site sacred to Hindus. Australia alone reported dozens of its citizens missing. That means rescue coordination now involves multiple governments, embassies and international relief organizations, simultaneously all trying to get accurate information about their citizens. While Nepali authorities are already stretched thin just accounting for their own population, add to that the fact that this disaster straddles an international border with China and rescue teams on both sides now need real-time cross-border coordination, sharing intelligence on the missing, on terrain and on the barrier-like threat, all while normal diplomatic channels move slower than a mountain rescue can afford. With roads gone, helicopters have become the primary lifeline, but there simply aren't enough for them. The Nepalese army has deployed helicopters alongside private aircraft and by Thursday morning had airlifted more than 100 people to safety. China moved a large military transport aircraft to the region as well. Still, high altitude flying in the Himalayas is inherently risky. Thin air limits, how much weight a helicopter can carry, mountain weather changes by the hour and every flight has to be weighed against fuel, daylight and visibility. Multiply that across dozens of buried villages and it becomes clear why even a fully mobilized fleet can only reach so many people per day. Finally, there's the physical reality on the ground. This wasn't just flood water, it was a debris-laden flow of mud, ice and rock, the kind that buries structures rather than simply flooding them. Survivors have described homes vanishing beneath mud in minutes and rescuers using heavy machinery just to move earth movers through the wreckage to reach victims. Search efforts in that kind of debris are slow and every hour that passes changes the odds for anyone still trapped underneath. Put it all together and you get a rescue operation fighting on every front at once. Terrain that blocks access, a second disaster hanging over their heads, wrecked infrastructure, an international cast of people to account for, limited aircraft, and physical debris that has to be dug through by hand. Nepal's army, police, and armed forces are working alongside international partners, but the mountains they're working on were never forgiving, and they are actively working against them. For a region that's now seen this kind of flooding twice in barely a year, the harder question is what comes next, not just for the people still missing, but for the communities that will have to decide whether it's safe to rebuild in these valleys or not. Mr. Vishal Pathak, Senior Coordinator, All India Disaster Mitigation Institute, is joining us on the program. All right, Vishal, appreciate you being here with us. You know, the visuals that we have seen, Vishal, they have been extremely humbling, for the lack of a better word, humbling in front of the might of nature. What kind of odds is Nepal up against at this point in time, considering there's another disaster, as per experts, looming around the corner?
Yes, very much what you said is a big tragedy and widespread and still going on. The risk is still there, and anytime it convert, I mean, a possible another disaster. So Nepal's Himalayan geography makes even rescue particularly very difficult. Floods, debris, and landslide is damaging to roads and bridges within a minute and isolate entire communities. So that also make rescue operation very hard. As you said, the flood here should not be viewed as a single hazard. One event is triggering several connected emergencies: landslide, road and bridge collapse, power failure, communication disruption, isolation of settlements, health emergencies, and further downstream risk. So in the Himalayas, one hazard quickly become a cascading disaster. Rescue teams may have to manage several emergencies at the same time. The most important in current time is continuous monitoring is very much important. For Himalayan river system, upstream and downstream risks are connected across national borders. So early warning cannot be a one-time message, but it constantly need to upgrade and updated and communicated through multiple channels. Fortunately, here in one case, India has already offered support and cooperation with Nepal is in progress. This should be recognized positively. India can contribute through its proximity, disaster response capacity, technical expertise, medical assistance, logistics, communication support, and experience of Himalayan experience. India has already offered support and it is the prior experience, for example, responding 2015 Nepal earthquake. So it is building based on that experience also, expertise and exchange. For us, one sensitive point is tourism is increasing across Himalayan areas season by season and year by year. And more visitor also mean more people exposed to geographical risk they may not understand, being stranger to that particular area. So we cannot promote Himalayan tourism without simultaneously investing in Himalayan risk management. The issue is not development versus no development. It is whether development is risk informed and sustainable. So such more and more cases now we are witnessing, whether it is Nepal or India. And fortunately, India is with trained force as well as also required plan. But this sensitiveness in terms of sustainable development is also very much important. Another one point is saving person from flood water is the first step. Safe water, medicines, sanitation, and continuity of health services become critical immediately afterwards. So we need to prepare while responding. We also need to prepare other actors and agencies for this situation, because that's going to be very, urgent.
Fair enough, Vishal. Appreciate you joining us, Vishal. Thank you so much for those insights, and Godspeed that this disaster and its mitigation is going to be over soon. We'll take a short break now. Be right back.